Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody's having a good day. Guess what? We are back for our monthly installment. And of course, I can't do this alone. Jenny, you're there. How is everything? How is everything going?
It's wonderful. So today is the first day I've had to adjust my ring light and camera settings because the sun is out in the UK. So very happy and in a great spring mood. So welcome everyone to Midwich Live, your favorite AV talk show. Today joining you on a Monday and streaming around the world via Midwich's YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch socials. Ask us questions, comment throughout via the chat function on whichever platform you are joining us on. And if you want to watch this later, you can do on Midwich's YouTube channel or in podcast format as well via Midwich Sounds. Today is a special day. Today is our birthday.
Absolutely. It's
Happy
our anniversary.
birthday, Chris.
1 year. 1 whole year. And they said it couldn't be done. Look at that. All you
Indeed.
pundits out there that gave us the stink eye when we said we were going to go for a long time with this. We are definitely going to eclipse that 1 year mark. And today is it. Big deal today. As a matter of fact, Jenny, I have to show you this because I actually got this yesterday. That came, they knocked on my door. Our friend Tim Albright sent us flowers. And
thanks, Tim.
Yes, and it says, in traditional Tim Albright fashion, Jenny and Chris, congratulations on your 1 year anniversary. Chris, please understand that Jenny is the star of the show, and you're there for. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
it was
Tim.
Wonderful
I'll pay you later.
To send the flowers. I don't know what I'm going to do with flowers. I'm sure yours are arriving, I'm assuming, because he sent this all the way from Enterprise Connect, where he is at this week. So
awesome. Well, I think they'd probably take quite a long time to get to me. So we'll see. So it's our 1 year anniversary, and we're going to take a trip back down memory lane today. For those who were able to join us in March last year, we covered workplace trends, workplace tech trends. And it was a very interesting show. And I think we'll divulge a little bit more about why that was further into today. And it has meant that we had only one choice for the guest that we wanted to join us today. And that is going to be Chris Jaynes, who is waiting to join us shortly. But we couldn't let this anniversary go past without acknowledging it with gifts.
Of course.
So who's going first?
I can go first, Jenny, because I got your gift yesterday as well. Thank you for the shipment. I sent the picture earlier to Ben. So if producer Ben has it, he could post it up. But otherwise, I don't know. How does this work? Do I take this pizza from one bite and does the pineapple go on the pizza? Do I cut it?
You don't. Okay. Let me help you with that. So if you could just take the pineapple away from the pizza. That's perfect. That's where it needs to be.
It's gonna sit back there, okay. And then this, I can put this in the oven. Thank you for the 1 bite, the 1 bite pizza from Barstool. I appreciate it. I'm sure they're gonna appreciate it. I have to post the picture on Twitter if you folks haven't seen it yet, but. What an appropriate first anniversary gift. It has been the source of many tweets and follows for the both of us. So,
and there's one thing that you could do, I think, that would just make it a better gift for me. And
not expecting that.
No, I wasn't. But if you could put your Crocs on and then stamp on the pineapple, that would make me so much happier.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'll put the gibbets that you gave me, the little pineapple gibbets. I'll put those on my Crocs too. I'm sorry, but fantastic. It also came, for folks that don't know, this came with a big liter bottle of Fanta pineapple, which is disgusting, and a couple cans of Dole pineapple chunks for me to throw. I don't know if it's dessert. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but I'm sure that I can throw it at somebody, and we'll all enjoy it. I will take a picture with it, but I won't eat it.
Should we run a poll, guys? Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? And you will be judged. You will be judged. So.
Thank you so much, Jenny. It was. I'm opening up that box, and I'm like, man, I should have done a box opening to see the expression on my face when that arrived from the delivery service.
I have a gift too.
Yes,
It's
I
what I
did
think
send it.
that
Thank God.
it's what I think Chris would buy for me. So Chris, you have bought me a selection of a Lego base
Mm-hmm.
with some different gray and white and black Lego dot pieces, and you have asked me to make this, and I promise to have it completed in time for the next show. But this is Neto in Lego, right? And how cool is that?
Yes.
And then I will, I have the kit, as you can see here, so I can make your face from Lego.
Where do you put that? Do you put that in your foyer, like when you walk into the house, or do you put that in your
I'm
office?
gonna have it in my background. I'm gonna have the Lego head in my
I'll always
background
be
for,
there
for
judging.
everyone to see. So happy anniversary. You're welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
That is
we should
great.
probably talk about workplace tech, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, unless we want to do some cooking or Legos. I mean, we could do a show on that eventually too. But let's talk about workplace technology. Ooh, I
Let's
needed
do
a good
so.
laugh.
I'm going to throw out a question to the audience, and we quite often get our responses sort of on demand. So it's really interesting to see those come through. So please do comment whenever you watch the show. And it's about the huddle space. What has the pandemic done to the huddle space? Do you think it still exists or not? We'd love to hear your views. But this time last year, we discussed all the things related to the pandemic and what we thought it would do to technology in the workplace. We were at that point, most of us still at home across the globe, and really talking about when we returned to the office, what we thought it might be, how many people were likely to go back, etc., and what companies needed to do to get ready. We're fast forward to now, and most businesses have decided how they're going to work, and the majority have facilitated that return to office if that's the route that they are taking. So big change in comparison to where we were last year, and I think we've got a clip that we can play of Chris and I discussing this very topic a year ago today. So we're going to play that now and then have a little discussion about it afterwards between us two, and also bring on our guests. So let's have a look at last year. A great opportunity. So maybe, we all thought, boom, the offices are going to go back and we're going to see business come out of everywhere because everyone's going to enable their rooms. But when you sit down and talk about it, everyone's become an expert. So they've all been working on their own device, and they've been, able to kind of become an expert in their own UC stack. And we've never been in this position before. We've always left it up to IT or facilities or the C-suite to say, this is what we use and this is how we work. And we have to be really careful now that we don't make decisions on behalf of our workforce, see them return to work because we didn't consult them, and say, my job's harder at my desk, my job's harder in this office. And then the other thing, and I really feel quite strongly about this, and I experienced it the other day on a call. Right now, we are all on this level playing field. Everybody's head is sort of the same size, in the same size box on your Zoom call or your Teams call, and everyone has a remote experience. So we've all kind of learned this new etiquette, like, oh, they just took an intake of breath. I know they want to speak next, so I'll wait until they've said their thing, and so on. And I really think that massively changes, and we don't know what that looks like unless we start running these experiments now. But we didn't always talk particularly highly of the remote experience, versus the in-room experience before. And we've got these great products now that will auto track and so on to help us. But we need to get in, because we've never had a remote en masse workforce like we have today. And if you've got 4 people in the room bouncing off each other, turning to each other to make eye contact and so on, you're going to feel quite left out. And if that's your team call, it's probably going to have an effect on your work culture.
Yeah, very, very interesting times, because as technologists or AV people, for the most part, we never really looked or dived into the cultural side of a business. How people do the business, right? How people like to use the tools that we give them. Usually it's some, higher level person that selects that at their company, and they offer them the tools because somebody asked for it. And then you go to find out that they're not really using the tools. I mean, one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with was always the room scheduling tablets. And that's very cultural based, right? There's companies that adapted to the room scheduling thing very well, but then there's others that would just put a piece of paper over it and said, I got it all day. And you were left with that. As somebody who spent many years on site, I would go around and see, still on top, over the outdoor, the panels that were outside the conference room door would be a piece of paper stuck over it saying reserved all day for whatever. So we are going to really clash with this new style of work. And for the people that are sitting and listening, and the audience members that are sitting here in disbelief and go, no, it's just going to be back. It's not. It's so not. The people that have worked from home have now changed. It's been a year. Things have changed mentally. They're in a zone. They can get themselves into a work zone that is much different than before. Hours, the concept of days and hours have changed for people. It's not just an 8-hour 9-to-5 workday anymore. And that is something that everybody has to come to grips with. Yes, there is a work-life balance that has to be maintained. But I think that we all, as employees, as workers, as coworkers, we gotta be a little bit more empathetic on how people are going to work. And you are going to find that some people are going to thrive in it, while others are going to have a hard time with it. If you are somebody who needs to walk around and put an eye on an employee and what they're doing, and if they're not working, right? What is work? Work is going to be redefined now, and the time and the hours of how work is done is done. But if the work is getting done and getting done efficiently in a different manner, you have to now adapt. And that's what this is all about, adapting to everything that's going to be coming our way.
I don't think we were wrong, so that's a good sign.
But man, things change for us. And, I mean, we've changed we're both in different setups right now.
Yeah,
my eyes have gotten worse, so I have to wear my glasses now. I can't take them off. That's what 2 years inside the cave has done to me, I guess.
I've paid for a far more appropriate bandwidth and up speed.
Yes.
I mean, we're sort of classic examples here of people that learnt, what you needed for a good streaming or good video setup, full stop, really. I'm quite ghostly pale, but I don't think I was a different color when we filmed that last year to when I am now. It just shows the benefit of having the right setup at home, and, privileged to be able to work with such great vendors that have been able to help us get there. But, in the meeting room, we talked last year about that level playing field. We'd learned how to watch for that intake of breath and so on. I'd say that epitomizes the issues that I now find when I'm joining meetings and there's, say, 3 people or more that are in the same room. And personally, I quite often find this a struggle, and there's some real obvious issues. So one is that people have invested in the all-in-one conferencing soundbars, but then they sit too close to them because they're still within the camera shot, but not necessarily where the sort of mic's going to pick them up from, and they come outside of that zone, but think because they're in the picture, you must be able to hear them. Or we have too many people speaking at the same time, and speaker tracking is enabled and it can't pick up who it's supposed to go to. So it just goes blank, and you miss out on a lot of things. And it does feel that we've gone a bit backwards, actually. We were possibly having more successful meetings in some cases when we were all at home, and now that remote experience is quite tricky because it's human instinct, isn't it? We're in front of each other, so we talk, and it's far more easy flowing, I guess. But something that happened after that clip. So we were hoping to have Chris Jaynes join us and share his expertise as a blogger on this exact topic. Unfortunately, we had some joining issues and Chris wasn't able to make it on the show. In hindsight, we were kind of not pleased, but the silver lining was it proved that we were live and it was our first show. So that was great. This time we've seen him. We believe he is in the green room now. And producer Ben, I'm hoping you can bring Chris on to join us so that we can discuss today's workplace tech. Chris, are you there?
I am.
Yay!
There he is.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Jenny.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I too upgraded my network setup so that I can join these events.
Yeah. The last time you were in an Airstream climbing a mountain, and we couldn't get a hold of you.
I was literally in my van. Yes, that was a bad idea. Until I can get Starlink set up with mobile IP addresses, then I probably shouldn't be trying to do that anymore.
True work from anywhere. That's what we were going for. And we missed it. We've learned a lot since then. Obviously, as Jenny pointed out, there was that first initial, I think we're going through almost like stages, right? Of the work from home. The first was the initial shock. Like I'm going to do my laptop, turn it on, camera, audio, and we're going to make it happen. That was your kitchen, working from the kitchen phase. Then you realize you're kind of in this for the long haul. You kind of maybe move to the dining room while your desk was being ordered, and it took 8 to 12 weeks to arrive. Then you finally built your permanent setup, and here we are, almost 2.5 years later, 2+ years later, almost 3, and would love to know where the state of it is, because Jenny and I have had different views on it, and a couple different things have popped up since. And we believe that there's actually another phase of work from home that we haven't seen yet. And Jenny's tipped it off earlier in the conversation about going back as people start trickling back into the offices, how the different things are happening. What are you seeing, sir?
Yeah, no, I think you guys are onto it. There definitely is something about to happen with the return to work. And I don't know if I would call it hybrid. I'm not sure I love that word yet. I think it's going to evolve into something that we'll have to define later once we see it. But I know that the topology of that kind of workspace will be different. There'll be a hub and spoke kind of model rather than, my office is just auxiliary to that. My office now is probably a significant piece of my workplace experience, right? My home office, that is. I think when I think about where this might end, it's and it of course never ends. It's always, the workplace is always evolving. We should admit that. But I feel like one of the big underlying themes is that we've become hyper aware about the types of work that we undertake throughout the day now. Right now we know I'm really good at doing sort of me work at my house when it's time, and I know when it's time to do teamwork, I somehow either have to do, if it's going to be face-to-face collaboration, then I have to find a valid place to do that. I have to find my collaborators. I need to book in a good room. And that room, by the way, better be really good for me to overcome the obstacles to get there now, right? Because it's about individual choice and the things that have emerged in the last little while. There is like a cognitive shift in the average knowledge worker for sure. I mean, I interview a lot of people in pharma and architecture and design, and you hear this new trend of course, individualism. I think everyone identified that very early on, right? The ability to choose where you work. But it's also kind of this like independent streak has emerged, right? Like I'm going to bring my true self to work now because my true self is sitting in my office all day long, and I've become aware that I can be myself and work, and I don't need to put on, I mean, you go all the way back to the 50s, we were putting on ties and dresses and getting to work and being probably a totally different persona. Now you can be yourself. And I think that, to be honest, is a more meaningful, more collaborative, better way to be connected with your colleagues. So again, I was saying in 2020, because maybe I'm just overly positive, but Q1 2020, I was saying, well, this is a great opportunity for us to look for ways to improve the way we work together then, because it's going to all change. And if you look at all the previous pandemics that have hit and all the big social revolutions that come right behind them, there was stuff that happened that made clean drinking water appeared, after the cholera epidemic in the UK, right? It's like, wow, that became a law. You have to provide clean drinking water in the workplace. Well, now I think what's going to happen is you now have the choice to choose how you work and where, and it's going to become the responsibility of those providing the spaces and to hyper focus those on collaboration and mentorship and connectivity, things like that. So.
Yeah. Do you think so, Chris? Obviously, with Mersive having a content sharing and collaboration device and platform.
Yeah.
Have you, in the customers that you're working with now, those that have adopted a sort of hybrid model where they're seeing more remote joiners, would you say in your experience that you think there is an ideal ratio of how many people should be in the room together and how many people are remote? And then I guess second part of that question is, what are you telling people in terms of getting the most out of this technology? Can we truly collaborate remotely with each other? What would your opinion be?
Yeah, that's a super great question. And I think it speaks to the fact that things have to be flexible, very malleable, right? And it's an elastic answer that I'll give you then, because if the goal is for me to, let's say we're launching a new marketing campaign and I have young people I'm mentoring in how to best write a press release and work together, I probably want the anchor of that event to be mostly in person, right? If there are people that are seasoned and can edit the document remotely, great. But there are other tasks, like if it's just asynchronous collaboration around a new Google Doc that we're working on, fully remote, and then ad hoc video if we need it, just to sort of engage, right? So it has to be defined by the goal of the experience that brings you together. And that again speaks to how you need to design spaces. It has to be ad hoc, because I don't know. It's one of the things that I was saying early on, and I'm starting to see it now, is the things like room booking is going to get completely changed, right? Because if you think about it, the old model, for sure, first of all, the UX and the user interface hasn't changed since the 90s. So it's already an obvious spot to go look at what's going on there. Drag down a conference room name, see if it's available, book it for 6 months for 10 people, because that's where I want to have my team meet. That's no longer going to happen, right? 10 people, I don't know. It could be, just given the answer I just gave you, it could be 3 people should be in the office that day, and a bunch are going to be remote, or all of us are going to come in because we're going to get lunch together right after that meeting, and that'll be a team building exercise on the heels of that. So you need to be able to just sort of be flexible and just accept that. Now, I am not a fan, though, and you hopefully are hearing that, I'm not a fan of equalizing the experience for all users. That was one of the things I was hearing very early on, and it was very dangerous, I think. Hey, because some people are in a box, let's put everyone in a box. I mean, I even saw some comps from some of the big video conferencing companies that were like, when you're sitting in the conference room, you will be transformed into a little box that everybody sees in a grid through, image-based rendering or whatever. I'm not a fan of that, because if I want to see an experience of people collaborating together physically, I want to see that experience. I want to be able to be part of that. Now, where they should be spending that energy is allowing me to do things like control my viewpoint in that experience, not be stuck, not force everyone in that room to look at one screen over there so that they all have to turn to see the remote participants rather than continue to participate. So I think I've seen some consultants working on some pretty exciting designs, campfire designs and things where you would take those things head on. I think we should, as a community, take that stuff head on and not fall back to let's just all be remote and talk to each other forever through postage stamps. That's just not the case,
So then, I mean, do we think that the future now looks like systems either with multiple cameras in a single product, or that then we can have that sort of 2 to 3 remote users that can control their own viewpoint? Or, is it actually multiple cameras, separate systems feeding into one? I don't think we're there yet, are we? Or Chris, do you know of anyone who's working on something like that?
Yeah, and I can't tip my hand too much, because we launched in the middle of the pandemic the wireless conferencing capability, right, off your laptop on demand. So you can imagine, if I can wirelessly bridge without having to plug or rewire anything, then I can wirelessly bridge on demand as fast as I want to any camera in a room, right? So that sort of hints that that's right around the corner. I do know some companies that are looking at centralizing the processing, bringing in audio, solving those problems so that you can basically float. The reality is, my background is computer vision. So the reality is the problem of image-based rendering, if I have 2 or 3 cameras, can I create a virtual view anywhere between those cameras, in what's called the convex hull of those cameras? Yeah. You absolutely can do that. That's a solved problem. I mean, it's high science kind of solved. No one's completely productized it, but I am sure there's either a really cool startup out there doing that, or one of the big camera manufacturers is already working on it. because that'll be fantastic, right? Fly your viewpoint, and now you're participating in a more meaningful way.
And I think, this is something that has to happen, actually. I don't know if you've come across the product from Jupiter. They've brought out their LED cabinets that have the camera built in. I've seen it. Well, yep. I've seen a cabinet example, and this thing is tiny. It looks like a pinprick. But obviously, you need multiples to get yourself a fair resolution of image. But of course, you could have more than just multiples to get that one image. So products like that, I think, are quite exciting, and they should drive that development that hopefully will also mean that we can see 360 on the table cameras paired with others in the room to give those remote users. So again, here we are. The pandemic gives back a little bit again for us, this next wave of evolution, because we've all become video enabled, but we're running into problems that we maybe didn't anticipate this time last year.
And they're problems that are like cool. They kind of have this social mission behind them in a way. It's like remote users shouldn't be second-class citizens anymore, and let's figure out how we can bring them into the workplace in a more meaningful way, right?
It's so funny. As an old warhorse, and I guess now with 20 plus years in this business, this problem has been existing for years, and we've tried circular boardroom tables with multiple cameras. The main problem has always been how to control it, who's going to control it, and where it's going. And I think finally we're getting to the point with machine learning and AI where that kind of knowledge is being put into the spaces. So it's not so much a director in the space doing it, but it kind of learning and working with the space at times, because we've always had good cameras. The problem is we've always had cameras that are like this, and now we're starting to see cameras that are like this, and eventually cameras are going to work like this, right? Yes. I mean, that's what you're definitely getting to. I think our technology is there. It's now just kind of reimagining how the thinking's how the think process goes into it, because before it was all very manual and very, very production based TV programming.
Yeah, Chris, that's awesome. Totally awesome observation. And I actually think the trends are even bigger than that. It goes to this more like, smart experience of the enterprise in a way. The enterprise now needs to be an experience that takes you way past your home office, or it doesn't need to be there, right? And I think it's about curating the experience, intelligent spaces. The old smart AV or smart building experiences of the 90s, all that was good because it gave us better HVAC, more efficient energy, but it didn't give me a better experience. And I think the new trend in the next 10 years is going to be about AI driving experience in the AV world for sure.
Awesome.
We have a couple of questions. Eyster has asked, how was Mersive founded?
Oh, cool. That's a great question. I'll try to be brief because it's it's like one of those things where you're like, hey, you guys are an overnight success. It's like, yeah, a 10.5-year overnight success for sure. I was a computer science professor, founded the company actually on a different product that the projector blending technologies, camera-based observation of how those projectors hit a wall, blend them into an ultra resolution image. So we were building displays that could be 80, 90 million pixels in resolution. The Situation Room in the White House, that display is ours, right? So that was where we were. And we were trying to move that into commercialized space. We worked with Delta and a couple big companies to build these little ultra short throw walls that were great. Well, long story short, I was at Disney Imagineering with a friend of mine that runs that group, and we had deployed a 27 million pixel curved wall for their theme park bids. And he says to me casually, "This is so inexpensive and awesome. This is a huge amount of pixels. We have meetings in here. We should put all our laptops on it." True story. That would be cool. And I said, well, you have a PhD in computer science. You've never heard of this whole market called AV. You have to go buy a giant video switcher, and you have to cable this room, and you're going to have to dig holes in the floor. And he's like, no way, that can't be possible. And this was, 10, 12 years ago. And I got on I literally Googled, some of the gear and showed it to him. And he's like, that's $20,000 worth of, HDMI switching. Got on a plane that night, wrote a proposal to the National Science Foundation, and said this will all change, because I did the math on wireless availability and compression ratios, and you could see, wait a minute, this is all going to change because you could just cast video to any destination when you want to. NSF funded, the National Science Foundation funded us early. The U.S. intelligence community heard about what we were doing because we were already doing stuff in the White House, and they funded the initial development of the user experience on top of the technology to route video wirelessly on commodity networks. And then we waited, and then once we saw other products were starting to emerge, the trend was there, and we launched Solstice into the market, and the rest has been kind of a whirlwind, to be honest. So yeah, that's how
That
we got.
was that escalated quickly, I guess, as the meme goes, right?
Yes.
You went from, well, I think we can do this, to here it is. Let's make this possible.
Yeah.
That's a crazy story how all those different parties got involved, and that's awesome. We do
Yeah.
have a second question that came in. What advice? This came in from Hannah. What advice would you give someone who is looking to start their own tech company? She's asking for a friend.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Asking for a friend, so you're not scaring your employer at all, right? Like, that's a great question. Two pieces of advice, I would say. I kind of have to be careful because I don't want to. Not all success stories are the same, but there is definitely trends. One is a deep love of the customer. Like your mission, when you're about to start a company, it's like you're going to have to be on a mission of tenacity, of flexibility. This whole thing about, startups are really just a product looking for a market, or even a market looking for a product, and you have to be flexible and change. You have to know who your customers are deeply and care. And I think that's one of the things we've been successful with. My customer council is about 50 companies from all over the world, and I know each one of them by name. I know why they use our product, how they use it, what they wish it did better, right? We have those dialogues. If you love your customer always, then you can't go wrong. As long as you didn't pick a market where you have like 10 customers, right? As long as that's there, then just can't kind of stay engaged and be aware. And then if you can pass that on to you as you hire your first employee or your second employee or your next 100 employees, as long as they know that's why you're in business together, because you love delivering cool experiences to your customers, you can't go wrong that way. I would think that's number one.
That sounds hauntingly familiar. That sounds like you're building culture.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and then the rest comes, It's funny though, I'll tell you, when you do it, to be fair, when you have the 20 person in a garage kind of phase and you're just kind of going at it and raising venture capital and all that, you have culture by default, right? Every person you hire is an entrepreneur. At some point, that's not possible. So you have to make sure you turn and start paying attention to culture 100%. And now it's more of an explicit dialogue at Mersive for sure. We have very explicit programs. We don't only do the hipster, drive a food truck up and give out free kombucha and all that stuff. We do plenty of that, but you also have to just know what is meaningful to someone when they join the company. What are their goals? Do they have a career path? I have coders, for example, where we'll write certain modules in languages that they want to choose. They choose, in Rust because it's a new modern language, and they want to work on that language because it's important for their career. So we allow them to do that. That's key.
Awesome.
I think I know the answer to this one, or I think I know how you're gonna answer it. But we have a final question. Do you prefer room solutions or bring your own meeting?
Oh, awesome! Yeah, BYOM is almost like religion for me a little bit. So I'll try not to sound super religious when I answer, but it's really the reality is, if you look at all technologies over time, the way they evolve is personalization, like of the user experience, plugging into infrastructure. That is like the best, right? Like otherwise we would have phone booths still that AT&T would drive my user experience and tell me where I'm allowed to make calls, right? We eventually back away from that. Do I still rely on the big, cell networks to give me great infrastructure? 100%. But I curate my experience on my phone. I define the experience. That's going to happen in the enterprise. I think we all sense it's coming pretty quickly. Does that mean that room systems are not needed? No, not at all. In fact, most of what we do is we try to make sure the room system is elegant and we don't get in the way of that. But when you come in and open your laptop lid and say, you know what, I know this is a great Teams room, but I just need, I'll give you an example I just saw. My engineers want to use Discord, and they want to use that really nice camera and the really good audio system. So they open their laptop and say, bridge the room wirelessly and go. Now, could you have built a Discord video enabled room in the traditional sense? Maybe, but you'd be spending a lot of money and it would only be used 5 to 7% of the time, right? So that doesn't seem good. why not just allow BYOM to plug into the experience no matter what? I think it's great. It's where everybody's headed eventually. I don't know if control and all those other components will eventually land on your mobile device, but I think there will be some forms of that over the next 5 to 6 years for sure.
Yeah,
That's an interesting take.
Pretty much how I expected you to answer that.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been great. So really grateful for you joining us, Chris. It took us a year, but we got there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Can you please let everybody know how they can find your great content and get in touch with you if they need to?
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me at the Visualist, the_Visualist on Twitter. You can go to our website, mersive.com. You can find my blog there. I also have a podcast that is just now getting re-envisioned. So we're going to relaunch it here in the next month or so, but it sort of covers workplace trends and also the history of technology in a much broader sense. So it's not necessarily 100% AV, but it's pretty broad. Yeah, and just reach out anytime. I love hearing from people that in the community. So for sure, reach out to me on Twitter is probably easiest.
Awesome. We made a mistake in not sending a birthday hat to Chris so he could wear it during the video, because that would have been kind of cool. But you will get a plaque from us at some point for 1.5 visits at on Midwich Live. We'll give you a half of a point for the last time you were here. So you're the first 1.5 return guest we've ever had who really wasn't the first time. This is very interesting. I definitely like this. It was the spirit of in the first episode. Now you're here. I'm cool with
Thanks so much for joining us, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. See you.
Look at that.
Oh, that was great.
Start our Hall of Fame.
Indeed. We finally got to talk to Chris Jaynes on Midwich Live. So yeah, that's the best anniversary gift, I think. So brilliant.
And we did have a quick question. Did he say what the name of his podcast was? He did not say it before he magically disappeared into podcast world, but it's
called, I know this, it's called Tech Plus. And if you search for Chris Jaynes on Twitter at _visualist, again, you can find all of the details there. Also, I believe if you go to the Mersive website, you can also see Chris's blog and content via the Mersive website too. But Tech Plus is the name of the podcast. I thought that was really interesting, especially this fix, I guess, to the remote experience. How really the control is wrong at the moment, isn't it? We have it all sitting in room. So those people that have none of these issues, that are able to collaborate freely and physically, they're the guys that are in control of the view for the remote joiner. And we've all developed our own style of working, of learning, of collaborating. That's such a great insight. And I love when that happens, when we hear somebody sort of point something out to us of, well, this is the fix, and there's people working on it, and suddenly it pops into your head of the hardware's there actually. So, even if we move away from this separate camera idea, we're starting to see products with the embedded cameras in them already that absolutely lend themselves to exactly this setup. So exciting times, not what we'll expect to see soon enough, I guess, for ISE and Infocom this year, but definitely for next year. I'd say that's...
Come on. Our favorite thing about ISE and Infocom is always those little hush-hush rooms that happen in the background where we may or may not be hearing about this. So this can't promise that it's going to be there, but if it is in a little whisper suite off into the corner, then the sparks are there. And that's what matters, because 2 years of doing this, we've learned a ton. It was kind of like, at the beginning of all this, we were very big into data analytics and capturing data and analytics of meetings and who's using meetings and building conference rooms based on that data. You got a whole new category of data that you captured over the last 2+ years. And if you didn't, shame on you. Because what you have is people that have been working at home and telling you exactly how it goes and how it works. And if you're not listening to your folks, then your culture is shot to begin with. You need to fix that. And then second of all, listen to the way they do meetings, because they have been telling you how they want meetings to happen. It may not be a daily thing. It may not be a check-in. It may not be a water cooler video that's open 24 hours for people to pop in, but it is there folks, take a look. It is there, and listen to your folks, because it is. It's going to be the key to the future. If you're looking for future trends, it's probably already there within your own company. You just haven't paid attention.
Definitely. And if you are looking for future trends, ISE to visit. So that's what our next Midwich Live is going to be about. So we've got next month off, so that's exciting. And then in early May, Chris and I will present an ISE special Midwich Live. We've got some great guests. I think 3 guests lined up, so that's going to be a really busy show. One of them's a AV celeb, and then 2 great vendors who will give us a little sneak peek into what we can expect to be on show from those guys at ISE. So if you're not going to ISE, even more reason to tune into the show. So yes, please do join us. That is on, I don't know the date of it. There we go. Thursday, the 5th of May. Producer Ben removed the slider before I got a chance to read it. Thursday, the 5th of May at 3 o'clock British summertime, or 10 a.m. No, 11 a.m. Eastern? Or were you?
It may be different by then. You guys have may switched your clocks. I've messed up Ben all week because the time change. Now we're only 4 hours different.
So it should be 3 and 10 again, I think. By the time that we get to May. So remember that date. It's going to be pretty useful in about 5 minutes time. So I think we need to announce the winner from last month's competition. I believe the prize was £75 or $75 of Amazon vouchers. And our winner was, drumroll, I know this one, Adam Phillips from Elgato. That's amazing. We use a lot of Elgato product, Chris and I, in our home setup. So that's really, really nice to see. Congratulations, Adam. You are this month's winner. And then we have the question for this month's competition. I wouldn't be winning this one if I'd have been asked. What is the date of our Midwich Live ISE special show? And again, it's a £75, dollar, or euro Amazon voucher or equivalent currency wherever you are. And you enter at midwich.com/MLComp10.
Yep. And if you're watching this live, obviously we do have an audience out there who is sending questions. Just let us know real quick in the comment section if you're going to Infocom, ISE, or just simply write both. It'd be wonderful to see where you guys are going as things open up and as the shows seem to be going. What I'm seeing on the internet is a lot of buzz and excitement regarding Enterprise Connect. A lot of folks down there, a lot of companies back in play, people attending workshops and seminars and conferences. It's truly, truly positive. I know that I was at the AVISPL SaaS conference recently, and it was good to see people in play and back in force and actually see and touch technology in person, not just a PDF or a graphic, or not something that had get shipped to me and then I had to ship back 2 days later because I wasn't allowed to play with it or show anything. But it was kind of just to kind of kick around. But it was exciting to actually be in a place with people talking technology, with technology literally in front of us.
And we have a couple of UK events this week as well. So one is a Midwich event, Own the Pixel, at our innovation house, which definitely worth registering for if you are able to attend. It's a validated systems event, so ideal for anyone who is designing visual systems, signage, LED based. And also this week, it is the return of the BET Show, which is our UK EdTech show. So hoping to see lots of people attend. This will probably be the first opportunity really for teachers and a lot of AV channel members as well to get out and see education technology, as really the shows that survived through the pandemic for us here have been quite UC focused. So it'd be nice to have a change of subject and see what's new in the world of EdTech. And I think that brings our anniversary episode to a close.
Yes, I'm going to go throw some pineapple out the window right now.
Stamp on the pineapple.
I may back my car over it if possible, but I am going to eat the pizza. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. If you guys are looking,
I'm going to have this made by the time we get around to our special show in May.
turn it into an NFT and let's make some bucks off of it. Why not? Why not? Let's make some money off of it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Neto. I am with Starin. I'm the market development manager. You can find me on Twitter at Chris_Neto. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm open and accepting all invitations at this point. You will see me in you will see me and Jenny for the first time in person live together outside of the UK at Infocom. So start making some Infocom plans. The other thing I would be remiss if I do not say, Starin has a charity going on, getting ready for Infocom. We are supporting a local charity for service animals. So take a look at that. That's it's now up on the screen. It's also going to be up on my Twitter and LinkedIn. And that's it. Jenny, where can people find out more about you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jenny Hicks, or via Twitter at Midwich Jenny, or reach out to me on email, jenny.hicks@midwich.com.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much for watching. This has been our first anniversary, and we have a lot more plans, so do not go anywhere. Except next month. You can go somewhere. We'll not be here next month, but we'll be back in May. Come back, check us out. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Midwich Live.